Hey friends in New York, New Jersey, I just got off the phone with the regional leadership team, and as we do every Monday morning, we were praying for you, for the work that you are involved in establishing and advancing witnessing communities on campus. And this morning there were four words that stood out to me as we were praying, and I wanted to share those words with you as way of a coaching and encouragement to help us attend to what God is doing. As we are leading, seeking to lead evangelistically fruitful, growing, faithful, effective ministry on campus, I think these four words will really help us. And those four words are compassion, conviction, courage, and creativity. Compassion, conviction, courage, and creativity. And first with compassion. Paul in 2 Corinthians chapter 5 writes, "For the love of Christ urges us on, because we are convinced that one has died for all, therefore all have died. And he died for all so that those who live might live no longer for themselves, but for him who died and was raised for them." Paul's imperative for spreading the gospel is the love and the compassion of Jesus. And we were reminded this morning as we were praying that when Jesus saw the crowd, he had compassion on them. And as we were praying, it just struck me so powerfully that I long for the day in InterVarsity's ministry in New York and New Jersey where we are compelled by the compassion of Jesus. You know, if Jesus were walking around your campus, what would he see? I believe that as Jesus looks around your campus, he would see students who are like sheep without a shepherd, students who need to know the love and the righteousness of God. And Jesus would respond to that by having compassion on them. Friends, as we lead growing apostolic evangelistic ministry, may we be like Paul, like Jesus, motivated by compassion. Compassion for students who are far from him. Compassion for those who've not yet entered into life with God. May that be true of us. But secondly, you notice what Paul says. He says, the love of Christ urges us on because we are convinced, we are convicted that Christ died for all, and therefore all has died. And he goes on to explain what that means. But so the second kind of word is not just compassion, which is our motivation, but conviction. Conviction that Christ has died for all. An ongoing prayer that I make and that we make is, as we consider what it means to establish and advance witnessing communities, is to lift our eyes and to be convicted of the truth and the righteousness and the beauty and the wonder of God in Christ. We don't do campus ministry because we just think that we have something, that's special about us. We are convinced that God has acted in Christ and that God has acted in Christ to bring life to our world, to bring life with God to those who are in spiritual death and personal disintegration. We are convicted of that truth. And so we need both compassion on the one hand to see and to love the students and the faculty on our campus, but also conviction. Conviction that God has acted in Christ, and therefore because we know that, we can act, we can follow him into that. The third thing we need is not just compassion and conviction, but we need courage, don't we? In little ways and small ways and in direct ways and indirect ways, we live in a culture that says keep your faith talk, your God talk, your information about what you believe to yourself. And it's very easy for us in relationships and in activities to begin to be cowed by the culture that we live in. And it takes courage to look a student in the eye and to dare them to believe and to trust in Jesus. It takes courage to act in hope, to call students to faith in hope that they will respond. It takes courage to set out to establish a new small group or to do a new outreach on campus, to reach a new community of students. And yet, that's what we're called to. We're called to have compassion and to be convicted and to act with courage. And then finally, we're called as women and men to not just have courage and conviction and compassion, but also creativity. We live in a rapidly changing world, and the campus is changing just as fast. It's not okay for us simply to wait for someone somewhere to create the right manual for us to follow, that if we just tick these boxes in this order, then great ministry will happen. No, sisters and brothers, we are called to enter into the creative work on campus of demonstrating in word and in deed and in power what it means to have and to share life with God. And that means that what we did last year is great to learn from, but it might not be what we need to do this year. We're called to be creative as we express the life with God that we've been given to share. So this week, as you do ministry, whatever the ministry it is, whether it's an outreach, a large outreach, whether it's launching a small group, whether it's making a call to faith, whether it's following up those contacts that we've gotten over NSO, would you this week pray with us that you might be motivated by compassion, that you might do your ministry out of a sense of core conviction, that you might have courage to make the call to faith and make the call to follow up and make the call to invitation, and that you might do all of this work with the abundant creativity of God. We are praying with you. May God bless you as you establish and advance witnessing communities on your campus this week.